Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful, respected audience, seniors, juniors, colleagues. As we already promised with you, we are going to meet one of our guests, a high and renowned name in the field of education. He's been there. Also, he's been there in the administration field also. Professor Kalim is the former vice principal of the Edward College, Peshawar, and then later on he joined the Right to Information Commission, the KPK area, as a commissioner. So obviously we're going to benefit from his knowledge and experience, and it's the right occasion to welcome him to our program. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, and already I have intimated to you at a number of occasions, the basic purpose of our TV, our channel, and the basic purpose of our program is to connect senior leadership. It may be in any field of life, that may be education or health or economy or even agriculture or business, whatever like this. So we'd like to connect our seniors, the people who have done something for this, for the country, for the people. Their knowledge and experience, obviously, it's a great asset for us. And one such a leader, one such educationist, we can say, the top educationist of our area is Professor Kalim, and as already I introduced him. So let's talk to him. So, Professor, welcome, sir. Welcome to the studio, and welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much, Idris Khan. I'm really grateful as to sort of give me an opportunity to speak to the younger generation, in particular, but of course the general public and the viewers in general. This, of course, is an opportunity which I'm sure I'll benefit. I wish it could have been more, could have been interactive, but next time, inshallah, we are going to have an interactive. I'm going to request Idris to have an interactive session with viewers, if possible. Let me sort of introduce myself. I belong to Thana, Malakand. My initial education, first 2-3 years, it was here in Thana. And then later on, as my father was in the army, and so we had to move around. So it was not a permanent sort of a continuous education. But later on, I joined University Public School in Peshawar, and I studied there. I did my matriculation from University Public School in 1969. Then I joined Edwards College as a student. Studied there for 4 years, did my bachelor's from Edwards College. And then for my master's, I joined the English department of Peshawar University, where I was lucky as to have wonderful teachers. And besides academics, fortunately, I learned a great deal from those real sort of committed, devoted teachers, which later on in life, because I never knew, I was not the type as to sort of be confined to a classroom. I could never ever think of joining this profession. But I learned a great deal from them, and when I sort of was in this profession, which of course again was a chance, nice. And I would like to share it with you. Mm-hmm. What happened is that I had to be at Edwards College to sign a document. Now, the then principal of Edwards College, who was my teacher as well, Dr. Phil Edmonds, God bless his soul, he asked me that whether I'd cleared my master's or not. And I said that yes, yesterday I just cleared it. And he asked me that, how about a job? So as he was a very well-connected person, so I thought that he was going to find me a job somewhere, right, in some other department. Right, sir. But as I was leaving his office, so he just came out and told me that, Kalim, how about teaching? And my response was, it was a very spontaneous sort of a response.
Right, sir, right.
Because he knew me inside out as a student.
Right, sir, right.
And I responded, sir, me and teaching?
Okay.
And he said,
pulls apart like this.
And he said, yes, you and teaching.
Yeah, okay.
And I told him that, sir, you know me, I'm an outdoor sort of a person, out with sports, this, that, and the other. And then
yourself.
He said, no, I mean it.
Right, sir.
So then I said that, well, sir, give me some time. I'll speak to my family, and if they permit, I'll definitely be with you.
Mm-hmm. Right, sir.
And that is how it happened.
Okay. Right.
And then, to be honest, I fell in love with it.
Right, sir.
Edwards College is my alma mater as well. But I really fell in love with teaching. And in the kind of interaction that I used to have with my students, who are still, my students are my friends.
There was a sort of emotional attachment with
Definitely.
Right, sir.
And I sort of kept teaching there for a good 37 years.
MashaAllah. Okay. Right, sir. Right.
Where, of course, I held different responsibilities as well. But, of course, the final was to work as the vice principal
Right, sir.
of Edwards College.
Right.
And that really is an honor. And I would say that I have assets. People talk of properties and things like that. Now I have assets worldwide.
Right, sir. In the form of?
In the form of my ambassadors all around the world.
Right, sir. The one you have groomed like this.
And that really is my treasure.
Right, sir.
That is from where I draw my strength. That is my source of strength.
Right, sir.
That is a kind of I would say, that is my real family.
Property rarely owned by people.
That is really my family.
Right, sir. Sir, it's a wonderful introduction, and I'd request if you could just sit a little bit, and it will be more comfortable. Sure. So we're going to come back to the interview. So, sir, this brings me to the next question, and obviously, mashallah, I've heard from you the status and the level of attachment that you had with your teachers. That takes me to another question. What is the reason that a society is not giving its like his proper role and respect to a teacher? Who is responsible for the low level of respect that the society is giving to the teacher? Is it the teacher responsible for this, or the society has become a little bit materialistic?
Well, to be honest, it's both ways. It's both ways in the sense that teaching has now become a kind of a saleable commodity.
Sure.
And as such, if it is a saleable commodity, now the one who sells it is a teacher.
Right, sir.
That is sort of one kind of a dimension looking at the whole issue. But it is quite a big issue. It's not an ordinary sort of a thing. And we have to look at the thing in a wider perspective.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
We sort of understand that economic pressures,
Right.
of course, they also compel people, in particular as we are talking about teachers,
Right, sir.
that is to find ways and means to support their families, to support themselves, and to sort of lead a kind of a respectable life, the kind of respectable life that the standards that we have
Right, sir.
generally. Unfortunately, if as I give you my example, I could never ever think of joining this profession.
Teaching profession. Right, sir. Right, sir.
And then, to be honest, initially my father, he was not very happy with it.
He wanted you to join the armed forces?
No, he did not permit me. This was a kind of a reaction.
Right, sir.
He wanted me to be a doctor.
Right, sir.
And I did not want to be a doctor.
Right, sir.
So it's basically people like, it's not that there's a kind of a formal training for people. There's a kind of a formal coaching for people, or sort of trying to create an environment where, of course, people feel that teaching is one of the most honorable and the most rewarding kind of a profession.
Right, sir.
So unless we have that kind of an environment, we will have these problems.
Right, sir.
If we go back in time in a historical perspective, teachers used to enjoy a lot of respect.
Sir.
And there are all sorts of stories about teachers doing this, doing that. In a way as to groom their students.
They took all pains.
Yes, it used to be a kind of a family affair.
Right, sir.
Grooming your children. But now things have changed, definitely. People, of course, look, in our days, in our times, there were no coaching academies.
Right, sir.
There were no coaching academies. There was no concept of private tuition as such.
Right, right, right.
Though, of course, some of the most privileged people used to have tutors,
Right, sir.
but that was not a kind of a paid.
That was a rare commodity, like.
I mean, but it was not a paid sort of a thing.
Right, sir. Right, right, right.
In many cases, because I remember, God bless his soul, and he's a very known personality of especially in the teaching community of Thana, Miasid Gujar Sahib,
Yeah, bilkul. Bilkul.
who was a friend of my father,
Right, sir.
and
It's a well-known figure.
a well-known figure, God bless his soul. And when I used to be here in holidays, so he would come and guide me
Right, sir.
in my summer vacations. Now, my father never paid him.
Right, sir.
He was not paid for that.
He was only concerned about your grooming
yes,
and all
it
of
was basically my grooming
Right, sir. Right.
that he was concerned. So things have now changed. As life is on sort of every day, the competition, of course, is there's a lot of competition.
Right, sir. Right.
If one of your brothers is a teacher and the other happens to be a civil servant, an assistant commissioner or a deputy commissioner or in some other profession, now that poor teacher is not, he doesn't get the kind of respect which the other
Even
one
from his
gets.
own brother.
Yes, even from his own brothers,
Right,
from
sir.
his own family.
Right, right, sir.
This is, so when you said it's materialistic, definitely materialistic, but at times the community is, I mean this teaching community is compelled,
Right, sir.
they have to sort of resort to private tuitioning, start teaching in private academies, not giving students more time about, of course, about the problems that the students face.
Right.
They just come, teach, and leave the class.
Take the booty and go. Okay. Right, right, sir. Wonderful, sir. Now, the next thing that is very much relevant to your experience and knowledge, obviously, I need not tell you, sir. Our students, after going through a laborious kind of education, school, college, university, at the end of the day, they are unable to express themselves just with a few sentences of English language, like be like my MS or MPhil or PhD, whatever like this. So, are you satisfied with the teaching and learning of English language in our institutions? They may be school, colleges, universities, public or private.
Look, this is a very sort of, I would say it's a very good question.
Right.
It's a very good question in the kind of scene, the national scene that we have in Pakistan.
Sir.
As we know that, well, of course, this is not our language. English is not my language.
Sure.
English is not our language. But of course, we have to learn it, and we have to sort of put in more effort to educate people or sort of instruct in English, for the simple reason that we believe that they have to. It's a worldwide competition.
Yes, sir.
If they are not fully equipped, they'll not be able to fight this battle of survival in terms of getting a job, this, that, and the other. Because I have personally experienced and seen people who are otherwise, of course, just useless, but the only sort of quality that they have this gift of
Communication, gift of the gab.
Definitely, that is what they have.
Right, sir. We're sorry to interrupt you, but the thing, at the end of the day, what we see, if they're going to appear for the IELTS, for CSS, for competitive examination, whether they're going abroad, they're going to go even for the simple NTS examination or so. So they are a little bit in hot water.
Look, I tell you, I mean, I have to sort of go back to the first question that you asked. The problem is that if you look at the whole sort of scene, English, of course, I would say as a language, it is essential. It is essential. But unfortunately, the instructors, are they well equipped?
Themselves, they don't know. To be honestly, to be
If
frankly,
they are not well equipped,
Yeah, sure,
if they don't know what they are teaching, if they sort of cannot put across the ideas that they have to their students in this language, Do you think that their students, they learn it? They will not. One.
Of course.
Two, unfortunately, the system is such that we do not encourage students to ask questions.
Sure, sir.
And that, to me, is the very sort of cause for this. I would say that this is a kind of a disease.
You mean to say, for example, if anybody asks a question, there is writ large on the face of the teacher,
Definitely,
how dare you?
How dare you? And the second thing is, maybe if it's somebody, a hot-tempered teacher,
Yeah.
he might exclude you from the class.
Yeah, sure. That can be a source.
That are you challenging
cause of
my
expulsion.
knowledge in my sort of understanding of the language?
Right, sir,
So the very first thing is that we need to have an academy or a center of learning for the English teachers.
First, they must be taught.
They must be taught, they must be instructed, they must be guided. Because I used to sort of keep on repeating myself in the class, and I would always pose this question to my students, that how many of you speak English at home?
Right.
I mean, I would hardly find anyone sort of maybe someone odd person communicating at home in English.
Right, sir.
The rest would say no. So then I would tell them that, look, this means this is, which language do you sort of communicate at home? And in which language? And they would say, some would say Pashto, some would say Hinko, some would say Urdu.
Right, sir.
Which meant, I used to tell them that, look, that means this is not our language. And we are all learning it. So the teacher has to
Provide
give
that environment.
that environment. He has to sort of I would say, inject confidence into his students.
Right, sir. Right.
So that they can participate. That's the very first thing. But I would repeat myself and say that unless the instructor is guided, unless the instructor is sort of groomed, because the learning of every language, it needs an environment.
Sure, of course, sir. Of course. That is definitely lacking here, obviously.
And that we don't have. I mean, if you sort of see, almost in every street, there's a private school. And in very bold letters,
It is written there.
that English medium school,
Sure, sir.
which of course shows the importance of the language. But at the same time, if you look at the quality of the language taught there, I mean,
Inside, we find 99% of the other.
hardly anyone can communicate
Right,
in
sir,
this
right,
language.
sir. Because English language, I think, obviously, I need not tell you, it has been reduced to just a medium of just writing a number of letters, stories, application, questions, and that's it. It is not considered to be a means of communication. This is the main mistake. I think we're making
Unfortunately, Idris Saab, let me sort of share something with you. We, in this respect, are sort of short-sighted.
now. It's a limited role.
Every language is important.
Right, sir.
Every language is important.
Sir.
Be it English, be it Pashto, be it Persian, be it French, be it German, be it Hinko, any language.
Right, sir.
Because if we look at the psychology of all these things, now that language helps you in the language in which you think.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Now, for example, Pashto is my language.
Right, sir.
So the first thing that strikes me, of course, the response here is in Pashto.
Right, of course.
But then unconsciously, I have to translate that into a different
The whole
language.
process takes insight.
Be it Urdu or English or whichever language,
Right, sir, right.
of course, you mentioned. So that thought process in itself, I would say, it's an obstruction.
Right, sir. Right. Of course, sir.
So to come out of that shell, to break out of that shell, the first thing is we need to instill confidence in students as to ask questions.
To bring them out of that shell.
Be it in Urdu, be it in Pashto.
Right, sir.
Of course, the next time, if it is a class of English, they would ask questions in English.
Of course.
And unfortunately, what I have observed as a teacher and as a student as well, that most of the teachers, they make fun of their students if they speak wrong English.
Of course, sir.
The same is true for their classmates. So one has to, a teacher has to sort of
Continually a source of encouragement.
I mean, he has to encourage his students,
Right, sir.
and discourage the ones who are making fun of others.
Sure, sir, sure, sir.
That's the kind of
That should be the mechanism
environment that we need for learning a foreign language.
Right, sir. So it's wonderful. I think the way we are, mashallah, going on like this, it will take a number of hours, but just to keep the video a little bit short and to make it a little easily uploadable. So finally, I'd like to ask you, just request you for a final message as to what qualities would you like to see in the new generation if they have to meet the challenges of tomorrow or the current times like this.
Look, the very first thing in life to me is that one should be very clear about his objective,
Right, sir.
his goal.
Right, sir.
That what am I going to do tomorrow?
Right, sir.
What is my goal? What is my objective? Now the second thing is how to achieve that goal and objective.
Right, sir. Simply planning won't do.
Yes, what we need is,
Dreaming won't do.
look, I would say that, well, one should never surrender his dreams to reality.
Right, sir.
To be honest,
Right, sir.
you should keep on. If you are a dreamer, you will definitely
You can be an achiever.
you can be an achiever.
ख्वाब उन्हीं के पूरे होते हैं जो ख्वाब देखते हैं.
Definitely, you have to be a dreamer.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
And of course, that objective should be a kind of a dream
Right, sir.
that you struggle, sort of you fight, you strive to achieve that or to realize that dream of yours.
Right, sir. Right.
That is what I would sort of say.
Thank you very much, sir. It was a wonderful session with Professor Kalim, former vice principal of the Edward College, Peshawar, and then later on he joined. Another part of his life, obviously, we didn't have the time to discuss. Mashallah, he worked as a commissioner of right to information like this. So, but inshallah, we're looking forward to more sessions with him. And sir, we would like to trouble you again and again, and I hope you will not, you will spare time for in future also to talk to us, sir.
Thank you very much, Idris Saab. I'm really sort of I would say that this effort of yours really gave me sort of a kind of a feel that I have to do something as well. So you will always find me with you in your struggle, in your efforts as to educate the younger generation, because what I have received a great deal.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
In every way. I mean, that it's sort of I'm blessed,
Right,
I must say.
Right, right, sir.
I have the blessings of Allah, and I'm blessed in every way.
Right, sir.
And I definitely want to sort of pay back. I've received a great deal,
Right, sir.
and I'm still receiving a great deal.
Right, sir. So inshallah, we'll see you in the same spirit. And thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.